So the first thing I'm going to cover off is what's new in SMSF Sorted. And then we're going to cover off what's coming. Okay, so there's going to be a bit of a combination of just talking about a few things. I will dive into the software and show you some examples of a few things as well. So yes, let's kick off. The first one, professional and enterprise. So what we are doing this year, and I guess this is based on having the product been out for about 14 or 15 months, we're splitting the sorted product into two specific offerings. Okay, professional will be designed for, let me just flick over to this screen. So professional will be designed for accountants. Okay, so and enterprise will be designed for administrators. So I'll just go into what the difference is there. So effectively, an accountant, typically someone that's got the relationship with the trustee that doesn't have any external customer in which they're receiving jobs from. An administrator, the exact opposite, basically. So someone that predominantly is doing the outsourced work for a range of accountants and financial planners. Okay, so we have had, I guess, one big product to cover off all the various different workflows and different features. So now we're really just splitting them out into two. So there is benefits for both specifically. So there are specific features and there is also some cost benefits as well on both sides. And we can talk about that with you individually as you reach out. But effectively, the biggest difference is, so if we start with the accountants or the professional version, all the things that our existing customers are used to, DMS functionality, workflow management, the whole review and approval process, including queries and reworks and re-importing from class or BGL, the whole automated referencing component, automatically bringing in reports, to automatically building out the work paper pack, and then also connecting to the auditor portal as well, right? So all of those wonderful sort of standard features are also going to be there in the enterprise, except we're going to have all of those external portal and external workflow functions where an administrator could create a portal for their financial planner, for instance, run those external reviews, processes and queries, all that sort of thing. And it will also include some custom integrations. So yeah, we do have a few larger administrative firms at the moment, and it's just a bit of a different beast trying to create a one-size-fits-all solution. So more of a custom approach, connecting into DMSs and integrating into other bits and pieces of software. So that is a huge change for us and really exciting, and hoping to bring you more specific and targeted sorted portals in the future. Okay, so the next few, I'm going to dive into the software and show you what they look like. So the next one is financial work papers, and you'll see in a moment what I mean. So we've had a bit of feedback over the last 12, 15 months or so from existing customers that, while it's fantastic what we've been automating, and they use the portal for the majority, and we've replaced, maybe the DMS, and we've replaced email, and we've replaced Dropbox and things like that, they're still using Excel. And why, we certainly don't want to replace Excel. We certainly understand that that's a staple in the accounting world. But for some of the use cases that firms are using Excel, we thought we might try to automate, okay, to really start to focus on saving the accountants further time, right? Rather than just sort of structuring everything, having everything in one place, we're really focused on reducing the amount of time you're spending on your jobs. So I'll go through that in a moment. The next couple, send docs to order. This is what Michael briefly mentioned. So for a sorted customer that's connected to an audit customer, there's just now a really easy way to get documents over to the auditor after the job's been submitted and the job's done effectively. Okay. The last one there in the what's new section is auto OCR. Okay. So originally, or last year, you would have had to upload a doc and then press a button that says process OCR. We've automated that. Okay, I think that was one of the first things we said we're going to automate, and then so we've now figured out what that looks like, and now all you need to do is upload docs, and then the system will do the rest. I'll then touch on some of the observations. So at the moment we've got 17 observations that are in the system, and we're adding another 10. So I'll take you through for the new guys what the observations are very quickly, and then for the existing guys, I'll show you a list of what the 10 are, and then we'll briefly touch on the DocuSign integration and AI wrap reconciliation So to just touch on that before we do go into the software, a big focus for us this year, now that we've got such a solid foundation for the product in SMSF Sorted, we're really looking to bring a bit of AI or a bit of intelligence into the software for it to actually start doing some of the work for you. Okay, so this is where things really start to get exciting. And our first foray into AI is a module that will automate the wrap statement reconciliation. So really that will just look like uploading a wrap statement. The software will read the PDF, grab the corresponding data from, for example, class, do your reconciliation, sort of green flag, red flag, or red flag any discrepancies, green flag where everything's okay, and then also save the relevant documents in various spots. So really, really exciting, particularly for those firms that have got a big book of funds with wrap statements. All right, so I'll dive into the software now and show you some of those features. So you've got a much better idea of what we're talking about. Okay, now, whilst some of these weren't in the coming soon pile, they are in the current release that is due within the next sort of week or two. So whilst I'm saying it's new, it's still effectively coming soon, but if you're patient enough, a week or two down the track, we'll have these released into your portals. All right, so if we go into this webinar test demo job, for those of you that are familiar, this is, and for those of you that aren't, this is the job dashboard. Okay, we're going to go into the financial position and operating statement section here. And so the new financial work paper component we found over here next to your document icon. So WP for work paper. Okay. So that's going to highlight the various sections of the lead schedule where there's a relevant work paper. So if we start at the top, we've got property, we've got tax for the tax reconciliation, and we've also got the GST there as well. Okay, so if we click in, we are actually starting, well, the first version is going to be 3 work papers. So we're going to have the property work papers, GST rec and tax rec. And in the next release, we're going to then release the LRBA, contribution, pension, unlisted investments, and TBAR. Okay. So before I get into the detail, I really do want to caveat that this particular feature is very much a work in progress. Okay. So we've decided to release this early. Certainly with not all of the other sort of features and functions that we want in it, because we want your feedback. These have come from the feedback that we've gotten so far, and we want to just keep refining it to make sure that we cover off a variety of use cases. We're conscious that not everybody has the same exact work papers or the same templates in Excel. So, all right, let's start with the property. Okay, so actually before I hop into there's 3 types of work papers. We've got existing property, new property, or sold property, and then that's going to determine what fields are relevant. For example, in the sold, we're going to have the sale date, sale price, if it was sold to a related party, excuse me, and then what the realized gain or loss is. Okay. This whole section is really designed to capture all the various particulars of the property. You can nominate, for example, things that we can't capture through APIs. So there is some manual override opportunity to, click whether it's LRBA or not, who the property owner is. You can also add more detail in there as well for anything else that you want to capture. We've then got a income and expenses summary. Okay, which is then fairly self-explanatory, which then spits out the net property payment. Okay, there is some, the usual workflow features where you can prepare or review by, and there is the ability to comment on various sections as well, and also to leave a document in this section. Okay, all right. So if we just hop back. And my mouse is no longer working. Let's just refresh that page. I'm not sure what's going on there. All right, there we go. Okay, and then as I said, existing property, obviously just more for maintenance in the fund. You've got you know, your customized components of the particulars at the top there. All right, let's look at the GST rec. So in this section here, we've got the quarterly net amounts, payable and claimable amounts, which we get from class. Okay, we've then got the ability to then write in what's actually happened with the activity statements, save that, and then we're spitting out the variance effectively. Okay, so just a bit of a you know, a basic reconciliation calculator. All right, and then now the tax reconciliation. Okay, so the first thing is here, there's two documents that have automatically come across from class, and that's the annual return report and the tax accounting reconciliation. Let's go back now. I'm gonna have to move this thing to close that. All right, so we've got all the various detail down here, income, expenses, various credits, and we've also got this component here where you can enter in the actuarial percentage. Okay, so we put that there. That percentage will then be applied to the data, and then we can spit out the ECPI, exempt current pension income. All right, so that's a very high level view so far of the three that are coming. We will have another webinar in the not too distant future when we've got the rest of these. There will be some functionality to be able to download, you know, send to Auditor, all these different things. But really what we're trying to do at this point in time is understand exactly what you guys are doing. And whatever we can do to help you replace your work papers, we'll do our best to you know, add and develop this functionality. But again, the whole idea is we're not trying to necessarily completely replace Excel, but if there is some templated stuff that you're spitting into from class and just sort of going outside of the software where you might not need to, if we just made some adjustments, that's what we're really trying to do. Okay, so really exciting. This is a huge development. That's probably one of the bigger releases since we launched the product. You know, all that other stuff that I mentioned, DMS, workflow, portals, all of that stuff's really fantastic and great for structuring and having sort of everything in one place. But this is sort of, I guess, the next phase of the product where we really start to save you more time. All right. Again, guys, ask as many questions as you like, and we'll do our best to answer them, or you know, potentially even take them offline and come back to you at a later date. Now, the next thing that I want to cover off is sending the docs over to the auditor once you've submitted the job over to the auditor, and then the audit might be complete. Okay, so up until now, you would have had to have raised a review point or answered a query from the auditor. Now we have a separate process where we just go to it, the right job. So let's go to Cloud 417. All right, let's go to Unsorted. For those of you that haven't seen, we do have a little bit of an improved view. We've got a list view and some bulk operations in our DMS. So for example, if we uploaded a doc, so you know, upload doc, there's obviously one already in here. So I'll just select that particular file. And now I've got the option to submit to Auditor. And then now I can notify them that that's there. Okay, that will go straight into the Auditor's document management system, and also alert them in their portal and via email as well. And I think Michael did show you what those screens look like, so that's quite good. And then I will briefly show you, whilst it is self-explanatory, if we grab a new job, so if we create a new job, I'm just going to show you the way that the OCR automation works, where you don't have to do anything any longer. So create a job. Okay, so we're going Unsorted. We're going to just upload a file here. I'm going to grab the right one. So let's say we've just whacked all of those in. So what used to happen was we're reading the content, and where it was like an electronic statement, it was fine. It didn't need OCRing anyway. But now the ones that are scanned in, now the ones that used to require that extra process of being OCR, and again, it really is the ones that have been scanned in for the most part. If you get a digital statement from ComSec, for example, that's usually okay anyway. But now we will automatically run that process for you automatically. So all you have to do is upload the documents, and that's it. Okay, which is a really, really cool feature. And you can see there that some of those docs did need OCRing, so we're just letting you know with that icon at the top there without you having to tell it to do so. All right. Now, the next thing I want to show you is the observations. Okay, so for those of you that are already very familiar with Sorted, you'll know that there is 17 at the moment. So for those of you that aren't, effectively what we're doing here is some automated checks on the data in the fund as soon as the fund's created. With those checks, depending on what the result is, we're either flagging them as red flags or letting you know that they're good to go, or they could be not applicable. Okay, so things like market value, we check the pension limits, if there's any lump sum payments throughout the year, as an example, we check the contribution cap. So all these particular ones here are in good to go. If we go over to the warnings, we're flagging that a work test is required. We're flagging, we found some negative balances throughout the year. We're flagging that the income comparison between class or BGL is different from what was listed at the ASX, right? So again, these are really designed to save you time and to really only point you in the direction of discrepancies rather than you running these checks on every single fund every single time, okay? So if we go back now to our slide deck, I do have a list of the new observations. Okay, so we've got a bank and TD open and closed during the year. I'll let you guys read the detail should you wish. I'll just read out what they are. Receivables and payables not cleared. Corporate actions, fund exception details, pension policy not updated, modified events, feeds data not working, so that could be quite a useful one. No property rental income, annual return validation, and transfer balance cap. Okay, so most of those are pretty self-explanatory. So that's going to bring us up to 27. Okay, so 27 checks that you can be confident in we are doing on every fund in a standardized way that you may be doing at the moment. So this is what the list looks like in its entirety. So current observations on the left here, and the new observations there on the right. Okay. So that really is what I wanted to show you in the software, and then as a list, obviously here. I do just want to talk a little bit about DocuSign, and then just a little bit more about, I guess, what this ecosystem is, and then even potentially how that can then help with independence. And then some of you have already made use of that as well, and I know some of you have filled in that survey, which we'll get to in just a moment. So firstly DocuSign. Okay, so yes, we do have two portals. We've got some customers that are just using Audit, that generate auditor templates, send it to their accountant, and the accountant might get those signed or put them in a pack and get them signed by the trustee. We've got administrators who then might have a relationship with an accountant who then has a relationship with the trustee. And of course, we've got accountants that are either connected to the auditor portal as a free portal, okay, or SMSF Sorted customers who are automating their work paper process. Okay, so there is a range of users, okay, and it very much does live around that accountant, administrator, and auditor, but they do appear in a whole bunch of different options. Okay, so even moving forward now, the administrator will have a different SMSF Sorted to the SMSF Sorted at the accountant. Okay, the existing accounting users where they've got a connected SMSF Auditomation portal to help get the docs over to their auditor, might even have the ability to have a look at what Sorted looks like in the future as well. But it's none of it's required. You can use one software or the other or both. It really doesn't matter at all. But it does create this sort of huge user ecosystem. The part that we haven't actually gotten to in as far as a portal, and we certainly want to, is the trustee side. So we're conscious that all of these, approvals, signatures, documents, all this sort of stuff in these workflows, the trustee is most certainly an active player in that. Our first foray into solving some of that is with the signing of documents, hence with DocuSign. Okay, so DocuSign, we will have an integration into DocuSign from both Sorted and the Audit product. Okay, so again, there's going to be various workflows and how that might work, whether you're combining packs or just sending out a single letter to get signed. All that sort of stuff we'll cover off in a little bit more detail. The main thing for you guys to know is that the integration is there, and then the next step now is to start working on these various use cases. And again, like most things, particularly for a lot of you that have been dealing with Michael with the audit side for a while, a lot of this is going to be a work in progress. So we'll start to solve some of these use cases and keep developing. As you can see, we are very, very, very active in that development space.